Why is it that during war, economic collapse, or crisis, the world runs to the US dollar? Not gold, not oil, not even Bitcoin. Why does this single currency, backed by no physical commodity, continue to hold the world's confidence? The truth is more complicated than most people realize. The dollar's dominance was not inevitable. It was built through war, diplomacy, economic innovation, and sometimes sheer desperation. And now that dominance is beginning to crack, there is a quiet shift happening, away from the dollar, toward something else. To understand what might replace it, we have to understand how the dollar rose to power. Because history doesn't just repeat, it rhymes, and the past holds clues to what comes next. In this video, we'll trace the entire arc of the dollar's rise and potential fall. From gold-backed trust to petrodollar politics to digital currency threats. We'll look at the winners, the losers, and what the future might hold for global money. The world didn't always run on dollars. At one point, it ran on gold. Before that, silver. And at other times, it ran on nothing more than brute imperial force. In the 1800s, the global reserve currency was the British pound sterling. It was backed by gold and fueled by the power of the British Empire, which spanned continents and trade routes. Global commerce relied on Britain's credibility and gold reserves. This system worked for decades until World War I. That war forced countries to abandon the gold standard to finance military spending. Currencies lost their tether to gold. Inflation rose. Trust eroded. The financial world was in disarray. Then came the United States. America, isolated from the destruction of war and rich in resources, emerged from World War I stronger than ever. By the 1920s, it had become the largest creditor nation. Most of the world's gold was moving to American vaults. Then the Great Depression hit. Banks collapsed. Unemployment soared. In response, President Franklin D. Roosevelt took the extraordinary step of ending gold convertibility for American citizens in 1933. He made it illegal to own large amounts of gold. People were forced to trade it for paper money. This effectively broke the link between everyday money and gold in the U.S., though foreign governments could still exchange dollars for gold. Then came World War II. The U.S. again remained geographically protected while Europe and Asia were destroyed. As the war neared its end, leaders met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire in 1944 to create a new international financial system. The Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the anchor of the global monetary system. All other major currencies would be pegged to the U.S. dollar, and the dollar itself would be pegged to gold at $35 an ounce. The dollar became the intermediary between gold and global trade. It was trusted, stable, and backed by the world's largest economy. The U.S. promised to exchange dollars for gold, but only with other central banks, not private citizens. From 1945 to the early 1970s, this system worked. Europe rebuilt, Japan industrialized. The U.S. economy thrived. The dollar was king. But the system had a flaw. The U.S. began to print more dollars than it had gold to back. Military spending, especially during the Vietnam War, and domestic programs like the Great Society required massive funding. Dollars were flowing out of the U.S. and piling up overseas, especially in the hands of countries like France. By the late 1960s, nations started to doubt whether the U.S. could honor its gold commitments. France and others began demanding physical gold in exchange for their dollars. American gold reserves dropped sharply. Then came the breaking point. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon announced that the U.S. would temporarily suspend the dollar's convertibility into gold. In reality, the suspension became permanent. The gold standard was officially dead. From that moment forward, the dollar was backed by nothing but faith in the U.S. government. It was a fiat currency, valuable because people believed it was valuable. This created a huge problem. Why would other countries hold dollars if they couldn't be converted to gold? Why would they trade in dollars at all? The U.S. needed a new mechanism to maintain demand for the dollar. The answer came in the form of oil. In the mid-1970s, the U.S. struck a deal with Saudi Arabia and other OPEC nations. In exchange for military protection and support, these countries would price all oil exports in U.S. dollars. Thus was born the petrodollar system. Now, every country in the world needed dollars to buy oil. This guaranteed constant demand for the dollar, giving the U.S. a powerful advantage. It could print more money, run larger deficits, and borrow more cheaply than any other country. Foreign nations, needing dollars to trade, would absorb the inflation. This arrangement allowed the U.S. to become the center of global finance. American banks, markets, and bonds became the safe haven for the world's money. Wall Street flourished. At the same time, the U.S. national debt grew. In 1980, it was under $1 trillion. Today, it's over $30 trillion, yet the dollar retained its power. Other nations tried to challenge this dominance. Europe created the euro in 1999, hoping it would become a global reserve currency. It gained traction, but never dethroned the dollar. The European debt crisis of the 2010s exposed the euro's vulnerabilities. China pushed the yuan as an alternative. It set up swap lines, encouraged trade in yuan, and even launched the digital yuan. But China's capital controls and lack of transparency made investors wary. Russia, Iran, and others proposed trading in gold or using regional currencies, but none of these efforts reached global scale. The International Monetary Fund created special drawing rights, a kind of synthetic currency made of a basket of other currencies. But SDRs are bureaucratic and rarely used. All alternatives shared one problem: trust. The dollar was still seen as the safest, most stable option. But that trust is beginning to erode. In 2001, about 70% of global foreign exchange reserves were in dollars. By 2023, that number dropped to below 58%. Central banks are diversifying. They're buying gold, they're holding euros, yuan, and even some emerging currencies. More than 40 countries have signed trade deals to bypass the dollar. China and Russia now settle a large portion of their trade in yuan. Brazil and China have agreed to trade directly in their own currencies. Meanwhile, U.S. debt has passed 120% of GDP. This puts it on par with nations that have faced fiscal crises in the past. Confidence in the dollar is weakening. Throughout history, reserve currencies come and go. The Spanish real, the Dutch guilder, the British pound, all had their time. Each lasted around 80 to 100 years. The U.S. dollar has been the global reserve currency since 1944. That's now over 80 years. We may be entering the next phase. So what could replace the dollar? One possibility is the Chinese yuan. China is now the world's largest trading nation and a growing military power. It's pushing for the yuan to be used in oil deals with major producers. It launched the Belt and Road Initiative, which extends its influence across Asia, Africa, and beyond. And it's testing a digital version of its currency. But the yuan faces serious obstacles. China controls its currency tightly. Its financial system lacks transparency, and foreign investors remain cautious. A second possibility is a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. Dozens of countries are experimenting with CBDCs. A global CBDC, managed by a consortium or international institution, could in theory become a new reserve currency, but this would require massive global cooperation and agreement on governance. So far, that does not exist. A third possibility is cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin. Bitcoin is decentralized, borderless, and has a fixed supply. It doesn't rely on any one government. For people in countries with hyperinflation or capital controls, Bitcoin is already a lifeline. But Bitcoin is still volatile. Its price swings are extreme, regulation is uncertain, and adoption is still low among governments and major institutions. More likely, we are moving toward a multipolar world. No single currency will dominate. Instead, trade may be conducted in several currencies: dollars, euros, yuan, rupees, and digital assets. This transition will be messy. Countries will jostle for influence. Markets will become more fragmented. Investors will have to navigate greater complexity. But the long-term trend is clear. The dollar's uncontested supremacy is fading. There are three key takeaways. First, dollar dominance is not guaranteed. It was built through global events, not destiny. And, like every empire, its rule has limits. Second, the current system is based on confidence. The dollar is not backed by gold or oil. It's backed by trust. And trust is fragile. Third, change is already happening. Whether it's through digital currency, regional trade, or alternative financial networks, the monopoly of the dollar is weakening. What comes next is uncertain. Maybe a global digital currency. Maybe a new reserve basket. Maybe nothing at all, just a patchwork of systems. But one thing is certain: the world is changing, and the dollar's throne is no longer secure. The question isn't if something will replace it. The question is when and what. If this video helped you understand the deeper forces shaping the world economy, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll continue exploring the shifts that define our financial future. Thanks for watching.